New lies from Donald Trump about the 2020 election and new threats that have some election workers alarmed, promising to throw people in jail, he says, if he wins. Let's get right to CNN's Steve Conterno. This is part of the issues-only preparation the Trump team has been touting for the debate, no doubt.
That's sure, John. That's what we're getting out of the former president over the last few days. If you look at the last 4 years, he's spent so much time attacking the 2020 election. Well, now he is escalating his attacks on the 2024 election before it has even taken place. Over the weekend, he posted on Truth Social that if he were to win the election, he will, quote, prosecute to the fullest extent of the law the individuals that he believes cheated in this election. And in case you think he's just talking about the small amount of people who fraudulently cast ballots, he went on to say that it includes, quote, lawyers, political operatives, donors, and even election officials. He said they will be sought out, caught, and prosecuted at levels, quote, never seen before. Also this weekend, he continued his attacks on mail-in voting, saying that the FBI should investigate mail-in voting in Pennsylvania over unspecified claims about election fraud there. Notably, his campaign has been working very hard to get his own supporters to cast mail-in ballots, vote absentee, vote early, even as he continues to attack that method. And I'll also point out on Friday, I was attending an event with Trump with police in North Carolina, where he told the police there that they should get out and start looking for voter fraud now, saying they're afraid of the badge, they're afraid of you people. So obviously, this is coming just days before this key moment in this election where you're going to see these candidates debate, and Trump over the weekend talking a little bit about that as well. Take a listen to what he said about his upcoming debate.
We're run by stupid people. Stupid people. And we found that out at the debate with Joe. How did that work out? And we're going to find it out again on Tuesday night. Is anybody going to be watching? She's a defunder of police. You know, when somebody on the far left is in charge of defund the police for 12 years, and then they switched, 3 weeks ago or something.
Perhaps a preview there, John, of one of the lines of attack we can expect to see from Donald Trump this weekend, or excuse me, tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. It's now, 24 hours away or so. Steve Conterno, great to see you.
Joining us now is Adrian Fontes, Arizona Secretary of State. Ms. Secretary, you're in charge of elections in a crucial swing state. It was crucial last time around. And in 2020, you oversaw the counting of ballots in Maricopa County, which is a critical part of the state. And we saw at that time protesters, some of them armed, were gathered outside for days. It's important to remind people this is what took place 4 years ago. When you see Donald Trump saying what he's saying over the weekend, how concerned are you about the safety of your election workers and the security of this upcoming election?
Well, first, thanks for having me. And this is concerning, particularly for all those folks out there whose integrity is being impugned. And they're not just Democrats, by the way, because it's Republicans and independents, libertarians, Greens. There's a whole host of folks of all political stripes who run our elections at the local and state level across the entirety of this nation. And let's be really clear. These comments are not political. They are tyrannical. They don't speak to the rule of law. What they speak to is one person's grievance. And it's unfortunate. I was on that same ballot in 2020. I lost my election fair and square, just like Mr. Trump did. But nobody in my camp was crying about skullduggery. We lost fair and square, and we won fair and square. And that's the way it works in America, and that's what good sportsmanship is about.
And by reading this correctly, at least one conservative group plans to monitor ballot drop-off sites in Arizona. Are you concerned that some voters are going to feel intimidated about dropping off their ballots if there are folks, hanging out outside those drop-off sites?
What I'm concerned with is the folks who've been spreading these lies and nonsense for years are now pretending like they're the cavalry to come in and fix things, like the arsonist calling 911 to put out the fire. It's a real problem when they're really shifting to pretend like they're on the inside, to pretend like they want to help folks. Voters can be assured, however, and let me be very clear about this, elections officials across Arizona and across the United States of America have been working really hard for a long time to continue to provide solid elections, as we always have. And now with the added concerns of security because of the threats and the nonsense, we're working closely with law enforcement, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and et cetera. We've seen some prosecutions throughout the country for folks who are trying to interfere with our elections. But the thing we're really concerned about and making sure that we're prepared for is the potential threats against voters and elections officials as we move into 2024. We are ready, we are concerned, but we're going to be careful and we're going to have a good election in 24.
And Mr. Secretary, I mean, I do want to ask you just directly to respond to the former president, because and we could put this Truth Social back on screen if we still have it. He is talking about imprisoning election officials like yourself. If he says, you know, you cheated or some other election official cheated in another state, obviously where he's coming up with this, we have no idea. He's making these baseless claims, unfounded claims. What's your response to that?
Well, if there is a quote-unquote prosecution to the fullest extent of the law, then I say bring it, because there's no evidence. There's never been any evidence. Now, if he's saying a prosecution outside of the law, if he's saying that he's going to weaponize law enforcement and federal prosecution against local election officials, then we've got a very, very dark future to look at if that's what ends up manifesting. But the good news is this: really solid Americans with integrity are running our elections at every level in every state. And the American public needs to know your vote is safe, your vote is secure, it's going to get counted well, because the same types of systems across the country have continued to be run. We know there's no widespread fraud. There's never been any evidence of any wrongdoing. And so to folks who are out there making these claims, they need to look at the facts and not the fictions, and particularly not the grievances of one single person.
And you crafted an election, your office crafted an election procedures manual that sets limits on what actions and behavior are acceptable both inside and outside a polling place. Last month, a Superior Court judge ruled that you overstepped and that your guidelines suppress free speech. Did you have any response to that?
Well, my response has been consistent and clear. When the government tells you got to stand in line at a certain time in a certain place to exert your rights to peaceably assemble and vote, the First Amendment rights of some wacko screaming at you or carrying a gun around, those First Amendment rights aren't as protected. I think good citizens, good orderly elections happening the way they do in the vast majority of America will continue to happen. The extremists who have brought these lawsuits, like the Free Enterprise Club, need to understand that what they're doing is not just bad for democracy, it's bad for business, which I think is the height of irony.
All right, Adrian Fontes, Secretary of State of Arizona, you're going to be very busy in these coming weeks. We appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, I want to bring back our panel. Karen Finney, your reaction to what the Secretary just said about, his state.
Yeah, look, there's a real intention around what they're saying, right? It is to try to scare people and intimidate people. In 2016, when I was traveling with Tim Kaine, in some North Carolina spots, we saw people standing there holding swastikas to intimidate black voters. So look, the point that the Secretary made, people are not going to be intimidated. We're going to make sure that they have the information that they need to know their rights and to protect their right to vote and to protect them from anyone who is trying to stop them from that constitutional right. At the same time, this is another reason why we have to call out why Donald Trump is so dangerous. He's calling for that. In the same way he called for violence on January 6th. It's the same reason that you've got Mike Pence, John Bolton, people like that, Mark Milley saying, you can't trust this guy. This is not somebody who should ever be commander-in-chief again. Yeah. So again, I think we should take it as a sign of this is who Donald Trump is, and this is why he shouldn't be returned to the White House.
Yeah, I mean, sure, Michael, and we could show the Truth Social again. I mean, one of the things that you have to wonder is whether or not we're covering this enough. I mean, that was sort of the thing that when I saw him put out this Truth Social post, if Kamala Harris were threatening election officials with jail time, what would be the reaction?
I mean, look, my reaction would be the same regardless of the political party, is that we don't want to further heighten polarization that we're seeing in the country. Democracies across the globe are at an all-time low. We're seeing democracy struggle to maintain. We're seeing a heightened number of populist, nationalist movements across the democratized world and globe. And we certainly don't want to see the continuation of that, Jim, in the United States, particularly when the election is going to be so close, and someone's going to win this thing and someone's going to lose.
Yeah.
And typically when you lose, you congratulate the victor, and we come together as a country, and then we battle it out in Congress, right? And we wait the next 4 years. And so, my thoughts for the former president would be to just cut this out. You have some issues you can run on that are compelling to people.
And this is not the media bringing this up. He's bringing it up. He's doing
He's
it.
not going to cut it out.
The campaign,
and he's not going to cut it out, though.
Yeah, yeah,
Mr.
but-
Michael. You
but-
can say that all you
no,
want, but he's not going to. This is what it's going to be.
Karen, I understand that, but I should say he should cut it out because this
Absolutely.
isn't acceptable, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it is acceptable. And so I think we do have an obligation to say, yes, campaigns are difficult. Yes, you're going to fight it out. You're not going to like the other side. That's okay, but that's where the line is drawn. And so I would hope, Jim, that the campaign would try to reel this in a little bit and say, just stick to the issues.